So first what we'll do is I'll show the paints which I'm going to use. Only thing is when you start off, sometimes what happens is the paints which you buy from shop, two types of paints. One is the student paint, where the ratio of the binder or the type of pigment used is different. So today I'm actually going to use artist paints. The artist paints which I have is, some of them I bought when I was in Canada or US, but apart from that, white is the most used. So this is the white which I ran out of white, and then I had to buy them in India. So this camel, I've been using camel for some time now. Even the same burnt sienna, good big tubes actually. Its price is worth. Good texture and good paste as well. Apart from that, I have some of the ones which I bought some time ago. The colors, there is one color which I had mentioned, hooker's green. It's similar to sap green, but sap green is a little bit lighter, but this is a little bit darker. If I want to make it lighter, I can actually add either white, that will actually tint the color, or otherwise the best thing is to add yellow. But above all this, what you need to know is you need to understand the property of the paint itself. The reason why I'm saying this, most of the time what happens when you buy paint, you apply it on your canvas, you will be able to see the bottom layer. You will not be able to cover the bottom layer. If you are actually looking for covering the bottom layer, make sure you understand the paint properties, whether it is transparent, semi-transparent, or otherwise opaque. The reason why I'm saying this, most of them might not mention this. If you look at it, the other colors which I'm going to use are all Winsor Newton. Winsor Newton. And if you look at this, as you can see, there is a black square. This is opaque. If it is totally black, it's opaque. This is also opaque. This one is also opaque. Opaque. This is transparent. As you can see, that's white, that's transparent. So understand those colors. Those are the things that I can say about paints when you are actually painting layer by layer, so that you don't have to get frustrated with the painting itself. So what we'll do is what I've shown, the painting which I had done long time ago. It is so long time, it's almost maybe 9 years ago, but it was based on winter and then the cardinal bird. So what we'll do is we'll try to focus on layering one by one. We'll start from the back and then come forward, then we'll paint the entire painting based on layering things. I'll try to make it easier, so you just follow along with me, and I'll let you know exactly what to mix whenever you're mixing, because as you can see, all these are tube paints which are thick paste. Sometimes you might also find liquid acrylics, or otherwise even the fabric colors which you buy from shop, even those are good. If you are buying that, I have a painting on my website entirely I've done with fabric. That's a Monet's garden. It's a small one, but I just wanted to show that the same paintings can also be used, but you have to be careful about again which is going to be transparent or opaque. So let's get started. Before that, if anyone, the reason I could have just started painting just straight away, because I've already drawn the bird here very lightly. So what we'll do is, some of you might struggle with the bird, although picture is there. I'll try to show you exactly how to draw. My daughter is sitting next to me. She is my assistant today. She is helping me out. Okay. Once this is done, I'll talk to all of you. Just I'll change the position of the camera. Let's see whether you can see this. Or some of you might draw the bird. You'll be able to draw the bird without any problem, but I would say, if you are actually struggling with any of the birds, it's only just two shapes. One is circle, another one is oval shape. I'll just show you exactly if you are actually going to draw along with me, although I have drawn it on my surface. What I have done is canvas, cotton duck canvas, a little bit bigger than what the size which I had mentioned, so that way actually you can see the entire thing on the camera. So what we'll do is, let's try to draw this. Okay. Okay. If anyone is drawing with me, just draw with me. So let me just show you that. So first is a circle, like I said, circle, and then oval. Any bird, anything you draw, bird, trees, or any subject you draw, make sure that you understand the characteristics, because people talk about this, some of them talk about this. The reason characteristic, when I talk mention about characteristic, you need to understand how it looks like, or otherwise when you draw or paint something, the other person should be able to recognize what type of tree you have drawn. That is a characteristic. So it goes along with the same thing, even the bird or any subject. So that way, if you see, you should be able to recognize that particular bird. When you draw circle and oval, some birds have little bit longer neck, and some of them even longer, and some of them they are attached. So during that time, actually that oval shape actually goes inside. So make sure that's what you're actually drawing there. That's a circle. That is there, right? So now what we'll do is, this is where, now if you see your neck, the belly of cardinal is little bit bigger. Belly of cardinal is little bit bigger. So that's where that belly comes into. So you have to see how it actually looks like. Some of the bellies of some of the birds are small, so you have to make sure that how you are actually going to show the belly or the head. And the neck, although we have joined circle and oval, neck is not exactly there, so it's just there. And then from here, the beak, most of you struggle with drawing beak, so it is just something like that. Make sure this top portion is little bit bigger than the bottom portion. You should be able to recognize that when you look at, make sure you improve your observation as well. So that's where that line goes. Then I have a thin line and then eye here. So there, that black, that is my just the bird. So I need to make sure that this is actually going to look like the bird which I plan to paint. So that's where it goes. Then just leave a dot, that is called catch light. Make sure every eye actually has to have a catch light. Neck didn't go inside because of the fur, so it goes up and then a little bit of fur here. This particular belly goes there, so there you get all those fur here, and then you get that layer there. Rough sketch. The only thing is, I'm just trying to make sure that all of you can get that shape right, just with the circle and oval shape, right? So that's where it goes. Then you get the tail. So if you can draw this, then you should be good to go. If anyone actually has any question, ask me about this, because this, even though if it goes wrong, don't worry about it, because if you are doing it for the first time, just try it out. That's exactly canvas. It's very light because that's the only bird. Other than that, I've just made some lines for trees. If I paint the background, those lines will not be visible, so there was no need of that. Just for the sake of where to place the bird, I've just drawn that. So if you can draw this, then you should be ready to paint, right? If at any point of time if you want to have a reference, even I can upload this on once the video is posted on the same group. So let's start painting. It's a winter scene. If you know winter scene, usually what happens is it's blue gray or gray color. The reason behind that is lots of snow, clouds, no sunlight. So based on that, that's how it is. Most of it either blue gray or otherwise it's just gray. For that reason, what I have done is there is one color which is Payne's gray. Payne's gray is a blue gray color. It's a gray, but it is little bit bluish. So usually what happens, the other things that you can actually look for, if it is oil paint or otherwise even acrylic, midnight black. There is a difference between ivory black and midnight black. So if you are going for midnight black, the reason for the name is there is little bit blue in that. If not, if you are trying with watercolor, the best thing to go with is you can actually mix cerulean blue or ultramarine blue with a little bit of gray, but I wouldn't suggest that. Go for indigo color. Indigo color is actually blue gray color, watercolor. If it is oil paint, either midnight black or otherwise Payne's gray is also available. And then if it is acrylic, you can go with Payne's gray. If you don't have, what you can do is mix more of white, less black, because you are looking for very light gray, and then add touch of blue. When I say touch of blue, it is just at the tip of the brush. If you put too much, then it turns too much of blue, and then you need to add more white to that. So you will have too much of paint mixed. So these are the three brushes which I had mentioned. This is a liner brush. I have one more liner brush. This is, I use it for oil paint. Just a minute. As you can see, this liner brush is longer. The reason behind that is it's not only for thin lines, but it also holds a lot of paint in that. So that way you have draw longer branches. For acrylic, I have separate brushes. This is a little bit shorter than that, and this is just the brush. Although I have all other different brushes, but this is the brush which you can actually buy it in shops. These are Faber-Castell number 6 flat brush, number 6 round brush, and there is number 2 which I had mentioned. This is the one which my daughter actually spoiled it. Don't throw any of the spoiled brushes, because very important. As you can see, it is just spoiled. Today I will use that for snow, so you get to know how you can actually make use of the ones which are actually spoiled, right? So for the background, we'll just use little bit of gray. I'm going to use flat brush. I have a bigger palette, but I prefer this so that you can actually see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take black. I'm going to use Payne's gray plus white. I'm going to add white. Always keep in mind that any type of paint, whenever you mix color, make sure that you mix color more than what is required. If not, let's say if I start painting and then it matters much if it is watercolor. Oil, it's fine, no problem. But the only challenge you might face is you might not get the thickness or same lightness. So mix more once you cover. Either you can keep that or otherwise you can just discard it. So it is unique color across your painting. So I'm going to use a little bit more of white. White is the most used paint, so it's better to have extra paint. I'm going to use and make sure you have some cloth. Very important. Okay, I will put that here. When I mix, I get to know how much to put. Don't straight away put it in this, because that's one of the mistakes that many of the learners do. You'll straight mix it, because that's the reason you can see how it is actually spread on the palette. The reason for that is when I say touch of it, so you can actually keep on adding touch of any color until you get the required color. If not, suddenly if I mix this and then it just becomes too dark, I won't be able to mix it. So what I'm going to do is I'll take as much as possible. This is, as you can see, this is a paste out of tube. You can add 1 or 2 drops of water. Don't add too much of water because then the bottom layer or even the white might show through. I'm just going to add this. Let's just see how much to add. And one more thing, property of acrylic you need to remember is, once it dries darker. Watercolor, once it dries lighter. Oil paint is the only one which dries exactly what you have seen through your eyes while mixing. So those are the differences that you can actually keep in mind while painting. So I have a little bit white, that black is also there, and little bit of gray is also there. Okay, let's try. Yes, should be good. That gets dry. In between we'll also add some white to that. Okay. What I'm going to do is, although it's acrylic and titanium white, the white which I'm using is what do you call color. What I will do is, I will try not to touch the bird itself, just so that I get bright color out of it. This is just the background, so I'm not worried. As you can see, I've applied gray, and then I'm also mixing. Sometimes you need to mix just on the canvas itself. So let's just try to mix this here. Okay. Just along the edge. If you go inside the bird, it's fine, but try not to leave a little bit outside, because then you have to come back and then you have to paint the same thing, same color. You have to mix the same color. Make sure that you are actually mixing it on the palette itself. Except the bird, I'm actually going to cover the entire canvas with that. And one more thing, sometimes many of us actually complain about drying. If you have a spray or something like that, just spray it, so it's easier for you to mix and it doesn't dry. There are other things that sometimes people, when you are learning, you usually feel that it dries faster. What should I do? There is something called as retarder you can actually use. You can buy the retarder and mix it with little bit water, same like exactly what I've done, and then you can just spray it on top of the paint, also spray it on top of the surface if it is needed. I think I'm good without, because of the size I've chosen. If it was big, if I problem, try to do it a little bit faster. You have to plan it. Some what happens is, some whenever I say some things to some of my students, you have to plan a painting. Their question, why do you need to plan a painting? No, you need to plan a painting because what goes first? What is the first layer? What to mix? Those are the things that you need to keep in mind. It's not that every time. It's exactly the same thing goes for any other things. Even if you are cooking, still the same. You still need to plan. So make sure you are actually getting that gray. I'll see where and how. I'm applying gray first, and then again with the same brush I'm taking a little bit of white and applying it around, and then that way actually what happens is it looks more of not the clear focus, far away things, blurred. Blending is something sometimes many of us face difficulty. Blending One thing all I can say is, if you are practicing or if you are struggling with blending, start with small areas, not the big areas. Usually what we do is we start with big, and then you might feel that it was difficult. Start with small objects, because that's when don't straight away go for a big painting, because a big painting has so many elements in that, and then suddenly you will feel that the path is not looking good, or some tree is not looking good, or the shadow of a house is not looking good. So many things can be there in your painting. So those are the things. I'm just trying to mix some of it. Okay, if any of you actually had any problem, just let me know. I'm hoping some of you might be actually painting. It's, I wouldn't say it is very easy painting, but you will learn a lot. That's the reason while painting, at least I keep on commenting, so at least you know what are the things you need to keep in mind. That's enough. So what I'm going to do is, the one which we had, I still have that color. I'm going to make it a little bit darker. Just with that, I'm going to make it a little bit darker. So how do you know it is little bit darker? What I can do is, I can put that. Yeah, I think that's enough. Maybe I can add a little bit more. The reason why I'm making it darker now is that I can actually paint just some far away trees that I can see. Let's some of the trees. No, that's still not enough. I need to take some more paint. Okay. Always remember that actually when it dries a little bit darker, so keep that in mind. So what I'm going to do is, yes, that should be enough far away trees. Yes. Okay, I'm not going to use the flat brush, because the tree trunk is of round in shape, so I'm going to use round brush. That's the best way to. So one more thing, when you are actually drawing, like I said, uh, mainly the tree trunks or the liner brush which I had shown, make sure if it is too thick, you will not be able to draw the lines. Add 1 or 2 drops of water, so it should be very smooth. If it is oil paint, add some turpentine. If not, linseed. Linseed is better if you don't have linseed. So turpentine or otherwise mineral spirit. Those are the ones which you will mix. So let's just see whether this actually. Yeah, looks fine. I think I'm good with this. What I'll do is, I'll draw this, although it is not dried, but that's okay. Make sure when you draw this type of things, it's more realistic. Understand, like I said, characteristic. Don't draw a tree trunk which goes at the bottom, which is thin, and then it goes thicker at the top. That will not support the tree at all. Yeah, that's good. That's good enough. If it is sticky, just add some water so your brush can flow. I'm just going to leave it like that, because like just a broken tree. Okay, I still have to work on that. Okay, now, and most of the time you might actually face difficulty just painting the branches. I'm going to add some more water to this. Understand exactly how much. When you add water, add drop by drop. These are from, I'm actually painting from back to front, as in terms of layering. So then I'm not going to put too thin, because also sometimes what I see is you will try to put too much of what details. You have to understand when to put details. Understand when to put details. Details, even if you look at the tree from far, all you can see is just what do you say, is just a very blurred image. You will not be able to see a detailed one. The only way you can see the detailed one is when you go closer to that, or otherwise that object is actually closer to you. So concentrate on those details. This I'm not going to put too much detail, in that I can actually see far away trees. Very, like I said, wintry, very grey winter. But the foreground where I'm standing, there I'm going to make it more colorful. So we'll just keep that in mind. Now another thing, composition wise, there are so many things. All I can say is, again, one tree here, one tree here. It makes it more what do you call, symmetric. But symmetric is good for certain objects, but I'm not going to make it symmetric. What I'll do is I'll just go with one of the trees just across behind the bird. You have a reference photo, but background is little bit different. Similar. So that way this is not visible. Good. Then it goes somewhere. Don't want to make it look like that. Far away. There. Good enough. And while painting branches, make sure you just wiggle your brush. Don't it's not straight, it's not a stick which is sticking onto the tree, right? Wiggle your brush so you know exactly. When I'm going to paint the closer trees, you get to know how it's actually going to be. Okay, that should be good enough. If you see, I think as you can see, this tree is lighter than this. What does it tell me? It says that this is a little bit closer than this. So that's how you create the depth, right? So you have to create the depth either based on just a perspective for certain objects, or otherwise in this case it is just atmospheric perspective. So it's a perspective where the further away things are either bluish, grayish, mountains. It's all because of the particles in the atmosphere. So that's how it is. I'm going to stop here. Don't want to do too much. There's somewhere bottom I can't see. Somewhere there I can see far away ones. Somewhere some tree trunks far away. Okay, here too, some far away. Because you don't have to exactly draw the entire thing till the base of the tree, correct? Some of them actually you're not able to see. Some of them cross each other too. So just keep in mind, those are all the, just go based on that. Okay. don't get afraid of blending. Like I said, try to use smaller surfaces. Even on my channel, I'm actually coming up with a series of painting where I I'm going to call it as think big, paint small. So you're actually thinking big picture, but you can actually get satisfied with just the smaller this one. So I think far away trees are good enough. So some things that I need to do in this is for far away trees, because if it has in this scene it has already snowed. It is not snowing, it has already snowed, so snow is on the tree. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some snow on top of those tree branches, but it is just a suggestion. Again, you don't have to do it all over all the branches. So let's see how I can go with that. I will just use in the same thing, whatever color we have put, a little bit brighter, not the white, because if I'm going to put white, that will actually get in the way of the foreground snow. It's not the same because it's far away, so it is value wise it is little bit lighter than what we have drawn for the branches. Let's see whether this looks good or not. No, that is not enough. That is too. Let's try that. Okay, I need a little bit more white. It's not. This is where you need to actually just try mixing and see how much white, because you need more white, less black. So that means you take white first and then keep on adding just touch of the color which you need. I think that should be enough, because I don't want to do too much of that's enough, because more detail I don't want to put too much of detail. I'll stick with this, right? When we start painting the foreground snow, we'll discuss about shadow, because every object actually has to have shadow. Far away ones I'm not worried. I'm just going to put two values of colors, just so that I can actually see from if I actually, whenever you paint, always keep in mind that you paint part of it, stand 4 to 6 feet away from your painting and see exactly how it looks like, because that's when you should be able to analyze yourself, is it going good or not. If you have a reference photo, yes, I have this my old painting, but I'll try to come close to it, but I don't want to exactly copy the same, but you'll get the same effect. Yes, so that should be enough. Don't want to do too much here, little bit here too. As you can see, if you see here these two, the value, when I say value, brighter or darker, so this is branches a little bit darker than the snow, but I'm not emphasizing it with then straight white. The reason behind that is it is far away and I don't want to put too much of detail in that. That should be enough. Little bit on the tree side because of the wind, maybe here a little bit there. I think that should be enough. You don't want to spoil the painting. That's one more thing. You keep on working on one part just to make it so perfect, and then suddenly you will feel that you actually overworked on your painting, but you will never know when to finish, but you have to decide how much is enough. That's one thing. So now what we'll do is we'll try to work on, maybe we should work on the bird. Now we will work on branches. We'll work on the branches. If you look at the photo, you have to, this is where the planning comes into picture. One of the branches is coming in front of the tail of the bird, so that means the question is to put whether the bird first, or otherwise can I manage that later. That is the only thing which is coming in front, and then there is one branch which goes behind the tail. I think anyhow I have not touched any of this, so we'll go with the branches. It's good. This is burnt umber, and this one is burnt sienna. The difference between this and this is, as you can see, the color wise. If you mix burnt sienna with let's say blue, this has little bit yellow in it, you get little bit greenish tint. So you have to be very careful when you use burnt sienna. This is like if I take something like example, if I take peanut and then roast it till the dark, peanut actually loses the color of that peanut itself. So it's the same burnt sienna. Combination of this is more with darker colors. When I say darker colors, you can get red, you can get cadmium red, which is little bit darker and more opaque, and blue. When I spoke about blue, I mentioned in the list phthalo blue. There is phthalo blue, there is Prussian blue, cerulean blue, manganese blue. There are so many blues are there. At least if you remember Prussian blue, phthalo blue, these are little bit darker blues compared to any other blue, ultramarine or cerulean blue. You have to see which one are you going to use. If I'm going to use phthalo blue or Prussian blue, I need more white even for the sky, but the color itself is entirely different. So don't try to see which one you are going to use it. This burnt umber is more of like fried on the pan, that kind of pigment, which is a little bit darker. If you are going with oil pastel, burnt umber, you might get. If you don't get, that is a Van Dyke brown is another one. Even if it Van Dyke brown you will get in acrylic, Van Dyke brown you will also get in oil. So you can go with either of them. Burnt umber is a common paint, you should be able to use it. That should be in your, even if your limited palette. When I say limited palette, 5 to 7 colors, this is a must. I'm going to use this for branches. That should be enough. It's very thick. I'm going to add some more some drops of water to this. First branches are not the thin branches. For thin branches I'm going to use liner brush. When I'm going to use liner brush, we'll add some more water. So that is a thick paint which I have. I won't be able to draw branches with this. What I'm going to do is I'll add some water to this. You can see the consistency I'm going to get from this. Make sure you need to get that consistency. If not, the problem with this is most of the time some of my students, sir, I'm trying, I'm not getting it. The reason behind that is, he says, one of the students' mom, she only mentioned, as I can see, my daughter actually she doesn't know how to mix colors. Colors in the sense mixing two different colors, or with the water itself, how much consistency you need. But like I said again, you have to go with drop of water and then try one line, and then if it doesn't look good, I'm actually going drop by drop, because if I add more, then I need to add some. If it becomes too thin, then I need to. So as you can see, that has come to a consistency of paint. You might ask, why struggle this much? I can just buy Fevicryl and do it. But like I said, it's not both of them are acrylic. That's a fabric one which has a little bit of glycerin in that, so that's why you are able to wash the cloths. This one is the paints which I have. Each one of them actually they differ in price based on the pigment they have used, where they acquired pigments either from stone or from, sometimes some of them from different types of bones. So let's see. Two things to notice before I do that. I'll wash my brush, and also many times what you won't be able to see is sometimes you will not see when to wash the brush. Always keep your brush clean. I'm actually keeping this gray little bit wet, so I might actually use it. The reason behind that is everything whatever you paint, you have to concentrate, or you have to keep in mind that there is a light source. Without light source you won't be able to see any object. So if there is a light source, what does that mean? There is highlight and there is shadow. And because this is winter scene, light source is there, but it's a soft light. If you know what is the difference between soft light is just the light where if you look at the shadows of any object, it is soft in the sense the edges you won't be able to recognize. If it is under sun, for your shadow you will be able to see a crisp edge. That's a hard light, right? I have also taken a little bit of green. I might mix these three when I'm actually painting it. So show a little bit of green and then brownish color and then a little bit of white. And I'll try to make sure that one side is highlighted, one side is shadow, so that way I can see that it is three-dimensional. Let's figure out. Okay, there are two things in this. There is a tree with berries. Those are called rowan berries. During winter, see, this is where I was mentioning about if it's good to know what you're painting. The greenery thing, wherever you see that branches with green ones, those are fir trees. They don't have berries. The berry tree during winter, it loses all of its leaves, so that is only the branch with a berry. And then there is another tree which is just next to that, which has those green branches, so that is a fir tree. Let's just say where to go with. Okay, let's go with this here. Okay, first let me draw that, then we'll come back. First let's figure it out, where is this actually going to go. This is exactly belly is sitting on that, so I can actually take it there. Then we'll make it thick, thin, everything will do it. But what was this actually? This was yeah, as you can see, remember I had mentioned this is white, which is opaque. You can see when I'm actually painting there is white, you can see the bottom, so maybe I need to come up with a little bit second layer or something like that. We'll see that somewhere there. That goes behind the tail, so I'm actually going to leave it like that. And then there. Okay, I'll make it a little bit thick now. Just, it doesn't have to be straight, and no need to worry about, mainly when painting these thicker branches, doesn't have to be straight, so don't worry about it. That is there, then this part try to make it okay. That's not thick. Okay, then there, come back with that. Okay, make it a little bit thicker here. Okay. To make it a little bit thick here. Okay, that's good enough. There are trees here, so I'm not going to do that one anymore. That should be enough. That comes there. Make it a little bit thick. is I'll put some highlights on this first. Let me just see how I can use. If I put highlight from top, it's covered with snow, so I'm not going to put much of that, but I will mix this color in between just to show that it is. Top of that, my white, titanium white, is also opaque, so I can cover certain part of we'll come back. Always another thing to keep in mind is just with one time, just because I put one stroke doesn't mean that that's done. Many times you have to go back and forth with many layers just to make sure that it's looking exactly how you want it. So that's what I'm going to do here too. Okay. Okay, let's go with this again. Mix that with, at the bottom I'm going to try a little bit darker. So now you have an option. This burnt umber which I've used was transparent, which is not dark enough. So what I'm going to do is, just to make it dark, I'm not going to add black to that. I'm going to add little bit of phthalo blue or Prussian blue. I'm going to add little bit of phthalo blue, but I'll take it separate. Don't want to add that, and take some of this paint and mix it with this. My phthalo blue is opaque, so this should actually make it more opaque, but bluish, because no need of getting it dark. So yes, that actually makes sense. Make sure it is just a tree, correct? You can actually get the texture with brush. It doesn't have to be a smooth paint, as long as you can maintain the highlighted shadow, should be good enough. So what I will do is, I'll also take some green somewhere here, try to put that green here and there, put some green here too. Not every time that you have to mix in the palette. That's one more thing. You can actually mix on the canvas itself. I'm just adding this green like a sap of the tree. I'll just mix it, and then again I'll go back with that dark one which we had mixed, and I'll again go back with that. Okay. Not every time you have to go with all of them. So here I need a little bit of darker here. Okay, it's good enough. Good. Okay, we'll come back with a little bit of snow later. I know it's already 7:53. I don't think I'll be able to finish this, but we'll see how long it goes. That's dark enough. I will not touch that. Touch little bit of that, and then little bit of here. Okay, now I'm done with this brush. I'll go with my liner brush. I'll go with this. So the difference between that and this, for liner brush I'm actually going to add some more water to this. It's more of a very liquidy consistency. As you can see, that's a consistency. Sometimes some of them even call it as ink, but I don't think it's ink consistency, but consistency is enough for me to draw. But if you feel that you are actually not able to drag the brush, main thing is, that is the word, if you cannot drag the brush, then there is a problem. So there it goes. Then I will take this here, there. So this is where your practice comes into picture. Take only a little bit of that, like I am showing. If you take, it can hold too much of paint, and then suddenly when you coat, you get that entire dollop of paint, and take only how much is needed, then you will know. If not, if you are actually starting with this thing, you keep extra paper or canvas where you can actually, okay, yes, I need to first try it here and then try whether it's going to be right or wrong. This is coming in the front, so I need to do that. Thin lines, I can see it. You don't have to buy liner brush. Don't buy liner brush. Some of the good liner brushes are very expensive. So try to see if you can use number 2 or number 1 brush. Let me just show you the brush here. This one is number 1 brush you can use, or any round brush which comes to a point. I think you should be able to use if you have enough practice, so you should be able to use it. It's not a problem at all. Okay, let's take one more here. It goes there in front. Just wiggle the brush. Don't get stuck where you cannot. This one actually, if you feel that, even when I started off, actually this is common for everyone to go through that. Branches will look like you took a matchstick and then you stuck it onto the tree trunk. It is not supposed to look like that, so I will leave it like that here. Make that there, and then I'll also put one more here. Make it more like, don't repeat the patterns, in the sense, when you're actually, usually when we started off, even when during childhood, there is a tree trunk and then there branch. So that is just more of 2-dimensional than 3-dimensional, so you have to keep that in mind. There is one branch which goes in front of this, but we will do this and then we'll come back and see what happens. Okay, just the part of composition, so let it be. Then this goes here and then it comes there and there. I hope that's good enough. This is the one where this is bent towards front, so this is where I can actually see that one goes behind the other, but there is, the value is same, so when we put snow, I think should be okay. some other thing is there which goes in the back that is lighter. Okay, those are rowan berries, like I said. When you are painting with any of these thin lines, make sure you take support of your not here, take support of here. So actually what happens is when you're about to touch the brush, that's when you have to start painting that line. Otherwise, if it just it's just with this, I can even paint thicker branches as well. If I use not the tip of the brush, then I'll be able to draw that little bit thick if I use belly of the brush. I think that should be enough. So what we'll do is just take a little bit down here. There. Just so that I'm not repeating any structure here. One more here. I will take one more here. Okay. Okay. If you are having trouble with just painting branches, practice this. For now, just wiggle it, so you should be able to try. Good. I think that's as far as I can go with that. Don't want to put too much. Let's start playing with that. There is one light color is there. Now you have to see how light. When you put any color next to, see, let's say if this was dark green and then dark red, you will not be able to make a difference between the body of the bird and then, yes, that's good enough. That's enough. There is a branch. I don't want to make it too dark, because when you make it either too dark or too bright, your eyes, they go there first. So that's where what will happen is you will lose the main subject in your painting. That's where it is. That is one of the branches, somewhere it comes from back. I hope you are able to see that is just very light. I think I can go ahead and make it a little bit darker there. That should be enough. I'm just trying to see even in the camera how it actually looks. That's enough, I think. I'll leave it there. One thing I want to do here is, anyhow we are going to put snow there. That's fine. Okay, so the fir tree is somewhere in between and some of the berries. So what we'll do is we'll paint berries. And if you need anything has to come in front, then we'll paint on top of it. Like I said, one time it is not going to happen. So you have to go back and forth with the colors which you are going to use. I will use red for this. For red. This red is actually semi-transparent. It's not opaque, but I need opaque. So what I'm going to do is I have opaque cadmium red light, so which is opaque color. I'm going to mix that with that, so at least that way I get that red straight on. This looks like that. Same color, light orangish, but it's okay. And I'm going to add just a drop of water. I don't want just a drop of water, it's too thick. One more drop of water. Okay, that should be enough. So now, even when while I'm painting this, light is from either left, right, top, bottom. So if we are considering this all from top or from one side of that cherry should be a little bit lighter, on the other side should be a little bit darker. So for the dark one, I'm actually going to use that just on the cherry. Although they are small, we'll try to manage that. Let's see how it goes. So we have to put some cherries. See, that's opaque, so entirely, even though dark color was there, I can straight away cover that. We will come back with the dark. First, let me concentrate on group of cherries, because if I put one next to each other, I will not be able to see. I will not be able to differentiate between these two first before this paint dries. Let me just paint some of these cherries first. One behind. Okay. That's enough. Put one more here. We'll come back with the dark. I'll show you exactly what to do with the dark there. Some more I have a reference photo which I had done long time ago, but I will just change accordingly. So you just go according to the composition we have here. Just because you like cherries, don't put too much. Everything actually, anything which is done in excess might spoil the painting itself, so be careful with that too. I'm going to put some of them here, some here, here. It's very thick paint, just 1 or 2 drops of water. So the reason behind that is one is, like I said, I've taken the one cadmium red which is opaque, so it can actually give me that effect, the red color, which I can actually see it from far. If it is transparent, then the problem is I won't be able to. I have to put 2 or 3 layers, 2 or 3 times. Just take a drop of water. Feels like it is drying. Okay, some more here. No need. Maybe you can put here. We will put some more here. Just paint some berries. Actually, like I said, don't try to put too many of them. I'm just trying to make sure that it looks good even from far. Okay, that is good enough. I'll put some more here too, although it is not in the picture. I'll just put some here. That's enough. Maybe I can put here, but no need, because there is the red, enough red is there with the bird. So we will just put some more here, and then highlight I can put on top, but it's covered with snow, so I'm not going to worry about it. But I will worry about the shadow part. We'll work on the shadow part just after this, and then we'll move on to that fir tree. I think that should be enough. One more here. Somewhere only one is there. I think that should be enough. If I work on that too much, I might just spoil it. No, that's enough. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same brush. We had this burnt umber. I'm going to take that and mix here with this. I'm not going to put that straight dark. Have to use the darker red. So how do I make it dark? If I actually add Pthalo Blue, it's fine. It will turn more towards dark brown instead of dark orange. I'm just trying to get darker than what we have put. Should be visible. Okay, I think that should be enough. If it is not enough, we'll come back and see. Just take it on the tip, just on the tip, thinking that top I'm going to put snow, only the bottom portion I'm going to put a little bit darker, but that brush is not good. I want to take liner brush for this. Okay, so if I'm going to do that, just as a curve, just put it at the bottom, that's enough. You can blend, but I'm not going to blend it. Little bit of detailed, but it's worth. Okay. There, no need. Here there is water. Little bit as an arc. I don't want to put too much. When I send the photo, you will also be able to see, because it's a minute detail. But if you are following along with me, just try to put a little bit darker. If you don't have that burnt umber, like I said, you can actually use burnt sienna with a little bit of blue, but again that blue, Prussian blue, ultramarine, will not give you that darkness again, right? And also the tip of that berry is also, you can actually put dot. They're so small, you don't have to go for that too much of detail with that. Okay, I'm almost done. Almost there. Okay, I think that's good enough, because if I put snow, most of them might be able to see here. You have to make sure that they are actually not attached as sticker, because some of them are in the back, some of them are in the front, so the shadow portion, some of them are small, I try to make sure that some of them which are together is with the dark casting shadow on the bottom one. I think that's enough. I'm not going to go into too much of detail with that. That should be enough. Just the dark at the bottom. So now what we'll do is we'll work on this green. I'm going to mix that green with the same what I had here for the fir tree. If I want to make it a little bit darker, like I said, I can add Pthalo Blue. Just because I'm going to use liner brush for the entire all the lines, I will be adding some more water in this. Let's just try some Pthalo Blue. I will add some Pthalo Blue too. I have blue here. Yes, I had blue. So I've just made it a little bit darker compared to the green which I had, hooker's green. I think it should be enough, but I will still add some more. Okay. Just because I'm going to use my liner brush, I'm going to add another 2-3 drops of water in this. Okay, should be enough. That's the consistency I have. As you can see, it's very thick, not too watery. So the branches of this fir tree is just with all fur, so I'm not going to put bare branches. I'll just put it straight. First I'll start from top, then I can put my hand here. So that's where it goes. First let's put the line where I'm going to draw the branch, and then one more goes that side, one more goes there and there. So if you see, all of them are just shorter strokes. I'm not going to put like what do you call coconut tree ones. I'm going to mix some of them in the front, some of them in the back, some of them on top. This is one line, so I'll come back and put a little bit more darker later. All small strokes. Just go with a small stroke. Make sure they are not going to look like stickers. It's part of that. Some tree which is on that side is going to come this side, so so these are just fir trees, so you should be able to, don't try to make it just like that branches. Put those lines even across across the branch itself. So this one I should take it as like that. One goes in the front. Like I said, we need to come back and check whether although I'm actually painting it, making it look like those berries are in the back. If you want to show it in the front, we'll come back and we have to paint that. That is the only option, or otherwise we should have painted this for tree first. Anyone. So you have to make sure that some of them are going in the back and some of them are in the front. That's how you can actually show the depth. Otherwise, right? Just trying to mark wherever I'm actually going to do that. That one I can go here across, so that comes there, and then another one is let it go there. That should be enough. So now I'm actually going to work on this, each one of them, just trying to make sure that so make sure you are going to put very shorter strokes. Who's going to say? Okay. Yes, okay. So you just have to make sure that here I'm going to put this front. When I need it, you can actually go with little bit of lighter color just to show one of them, actually, because both of them have same values. You might not be able to see it, but we'll fix that. Okay. I'm trying to see that I'm not repeating some of the shapes, but I feel that something is there. I'll change it. Just here, this part. Feels like both of them on the left, two or three of them are just hanging exactly same. I just don't want to repeat that. There. Then let me just see. Okay, yeah. So as you can see, this tree is from somewhere in the back. I'm going to put that here, and also I'll show some suggestion that it is somewhere there, and also some fur coming out of that somewhere there. Okay, because otherwise what will happen is you don't want to make something look like more of sticker type, so I am just keeping that in mind when I am painting this. This I am going to make it a little bit bigger and longer. Make sure if your brush doesn't drag too long, add some water to that. I am going to cover this. I don't want to make it look like, yes, that is just a part of it. And here a little bit more, then we should be done with this. Just trying to make sure that this side is empty. Don't want to put too much, because if I'm going to put snow on top of this, it shouldn't be too much. Here a little bit more. I think that should be enough. I will not play with this too much. I might end up spoiling that. Okay, here some line is there, so I'm going to use this color here to show that some of them are green here. Yes, lighter color, otherwise I won't be able to make out whether the branch is in the front or in the back. It's in the back, this is the front. I've just taken some color, same white color what I had, mixed with gray. I think that should be enough. If I really want lighter I can go, but I think I'll leave it like that. Now let's start working on bird first, then we'll come back to snow, then that should be done. Okay, I'm going to use the same color here what I had before. I have burnt sienna, I have, if I want darker, and I have this, and then little bit darker. I need to add some black to that. I need black for the face. Be careful with how you are going to paint this. So what I'm going to do is, first I will cover wherever that color is, then we'll come back. Don't worry about anything which might go wrong with the color itself. I need to add some water to this. Okay, all the dark, everything will come back. First let's paint that, anything we need. Okay, anything we need darker we will do it later. So first let's concentrate on the lines that we need. That goes there, and then there, there. Okay, then that is good. Now we will try to manage the back of this first, then we will go step by step. There is that. Belly actually has to be a little bit darker, not only the color but also based on the shadow where light doesn't touch. So this is where you have to be a little bit very careful. Don't go beyond that line, otherwise bird is actually going to look bigger. So yeah, that's where we can cover this. The reason why I'm covering this is that first I get the bright color, then I can start working on the lighter and then the darker one. This is just the mid-tone I'm applying, so I have to work with the lighter color and the darker color just after this, then that should be good. Any video that I do on my YouTube channel, it takes good amount of time, 5-6 hours if it is not, if not maybe sometimes 7 hours. Then after that editing, it takes time, it is not as you can see, I'm just trying as much as possible, but I don't want to hurry. But that's how much. This is like I said, it's just all about, again, patience. There it goes. That's where we wanted to cover that. That branch is in the front, this branch is also in the front. We'll cover that and make it a little bit longer. Let's see whether that long, yeah, I'll make it a little bit longer. You have to make sure that the tail and the size of your bird actually goes along with that. Don't just make it longer. Okay, should be good. And the beak white on this one, right? I will go with again number brush. I'll work on that beak first. The top is little bit of yellow or white, so we'll concentrate on that one. So what I'll do is, that's where that the center is, and then we'll put that little bit beak, and then here. So for this, instead of white, I'm going to use a little bit of yellow, and then if we need highlight, then all I need is little bit of yellow, which is, I'll put little bit of yellow there, and at the bottom. Both of them are wet, so I can go back and blend it just on top. I'll just blend it just with that. Blend that color for the beak and do the same thing, but that line actually has to show through for the beak, for the mouth. If not, you won't be able to see that. For that line to put some shadows, what I'm going to do is, I'll put a line just that should be good enough. I'll put a darker line of this burnt umber just under that beak, so that I know I can actually differentiate that beak. Instead line, blend that one as well, the bottom, so that should be good. I'm going to use some of this Payne's gray as my black. I can use dark actually, but I'll go with go ahead with that. Let me see if this is not enough, then I will just use black itself. I will add that and make it more black. Prussian blue. Okay, so now is the time. Make sure you have good detail and you have just enough paint. I'll leave little bit of line there. We'll come back and put that catch light on that. We'll just take this and then we'll go here. So this is where make sure that you are actually getting that line perfect. Touch of water again. Okay. Okay. Once I draw that, able to go over that. Although I'm just filling up color first, we'll come back with more details, because this again, like I said, it shouldn't look like a sticker. Right. Okay. Put that. That should be enough. That's good enough. There is not dark. I will use that burnt sienna one. We'll see how this goes. Okay, that's good enough. So for the same thing, what I'll do is I'll take a little bit of that and keep it mixed here. That becomes my little bit darker, and then the darker. So mid-tone, little bit darker, and then we'll come back with we'll see wherever we need lighter, we'll come back. Okay, let's try with this color first. Okay, here, this is where your detail goes into picture, but that's not enough. Right. There is more water, so I just have to remove that. Okay. This is where you need to put more details and make sure that you have that thin line, so you can get that thin line, very thin line. I'm just going to put as much as I feel that it's dark enough, and yes. Then I will actually make a mark here where this is supposed to go with. Then there, and there. Then it goes here. Okay. I also have both the colors here. We will work with that both colors here. So here that line actually has to go here, a little bit darker. Yeah. Okay, so there are ways of actually doing this, but let me see if I can show you how I can do this. So let's just take, if I just take this brush and spread it, wiggle it and spread it, if you can get it this way, then see whether you can actually get that line. Still not, but what I'll do is I'll put that anyways. We'll come back and put some lines there later. So this is where I'm actually going to go with lines. Okay, let's go with some more fur at the bottom. You can use your finger even for smudging. Trying to take less paint, like more of dry brush. Let me go back with a liner brush with this dark one, because I need to get some lines on from this. Not a straight line, so I can actually get some lines there, and then I can go with that. Put some, okay. Let me just, this is the time I need to put some white. Adding some water to that. Make sure you have very less paint in your brush. So you can actually draw lines. I'm going to put some lines there. Very thin lines, like I said, very thin lines. Make sure you're actually taking only a little bit of paint there. This is all just about details. I'm going to put only a little bit of details, not much. Here we wanted to put some lines, so I'm actually going to draw those lines for that. Those lines, I'll keep them just right. Don't want that to be too white. That is just under. And then here it just depends on how detailed you want to go with each stroke. So make sure that color is not too white, so you have to play with the color here, so you know exactly how much color. Don't put straight white, because that might not help. Straight white is, it's too bright for this. Now again I'm going to go back with that. As you can see, I'm actually going back and forth with the darker color, lighter color, until I get the effect I'm after. Here is the shadow part. I'm actually going to put a little bit darker there. There is the shadow part. Little bit here and little bit darker here too. There, not much. There is and little bit here too, as in terms of dark. And let me just put some more darker color here for so I think I'm good with that, but I still need that little bit of use your finger to smudge just to get that darker at the belly shadow, just to show that okay, then I need that darker one, not that. Make sure you're actually cleaning your brush all the time, because it's not the same unless and until you're actually using same number of number brush and you have 2-3 of them, that's fine too. This is just make sure it goes, and then again I'll go with the darker color. I want to make sure here if light comes from top, there is more of dark for that portion of the tail, and little bit in between and here too. And again, try not to make it look like sticker, so I'm actually making it look more of a feather at the end. No, it's still not enough. I need to put some more dark here, dark there, yes. And here is a little bit more dark, and I still feel that there is a little bit more dark there too for the lines, so that you can actually see it better. There, I think that should be good enough. Don't want to work on, make sure as you can see I'm just barely touching the bird, so you can get okay. Now the color which we had mixed here, that's what I'm going to use, light one. Make sure you have enough here in the tip of this, that just goes around the eye, very thin again. Hold your breath and do it. That is just about that, not too much. I can actually see, I hope you can see even in the camera. That's what I'm trying to do here. And what we'll do is, I wanted to make sure that some lines are going inside too for this back one. Yes, okay. Now all we need to do is just a dot. I think I can use the same dot, catch light for the eye. I've just put one dot, that should be more than enough. Enough dark at the top. Going to put some more lines there. And put some more red here. just right out of tube. Some more red, again straight out of tube. I'm going to put some more red here too, randomly. Main thing is trying to make sure that I have highlight and darker color both. Again here little bit, there little bit. I think bird is done, it's good enough. Okay, now the last part is just snow, and you should be done with that too. So like I've shown the brush which is spoiled, that's what I'm going to use. For that reason, first what I'm going to do is I'll mix both together. Cerulean blue, I'm going to use cerulean blue for this. I need very little of cerulean blue with white. That cerulean blue is lighter than any other blue, even including manganese, a little bit different color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take there is some part here, I need to fix this. Yes, that was bothering. Now I will use this and white. So white mixed with blue and just white. The white snow is not just white. If you take a white piece of paper and then just put it next to snow, it's not the same color. So snow also has its own shadows. So you need to make sure that first I'm going to put I'll keep this white little bit separate and little bit on the left. I'm just going to take a touch. That will be the shadow of my snow. Or sometimes what happens is you can actually mix a little bit of red and make it very very light violet. When I say light violet, it's actually very light violet. I'm going to take a little bit and then try to make sure that these two colors are a little bit different. If they are same, I won't be able to say which is blue or shadow and which is just the white snow. And you have to keep in mind that when it dries a little bit darker. So I think that should be good enough. Okay, that should be enough, I think. All I'm going to do is just going to do the stippling, and then one last thing is, if anywhere we wanted to paint that cherries in the front, we'll just go with the cherries once. Okay, let's put snow everywhere, just the shadow here. All I'm doing is just stippling, as you can see. If it is not enough, I will add some more blue to that, because you have to keep in mind that we have already done some blue gray in the background, but don't worry, that will actually, you'll be able to see all of that. You can see very light blue, but when we come back with a little bit of white on that, you will be able to see. Make sure somewhere it is covered, somewhere it is less covered, more covered. I didn't mix any water, as you can see, because I just wanted it straight out of the tube, just so that I get that bright color. It's just a spoiled brush. I'm using stippling technique, so you should be able to. Yes, put some more here too. I think that should be enough. Let me see if I put white, how much white I can, because white should be brighter than this straight white. Yeah, white is too bright for the camera. Let's just see. Just try to use any brush, the stippling method, so you should be good with that. Some of them are in the front, some of them are in the back. I think that should be more than enough. I don't want to do too much of this. Now what we'll do is some final. What we have done is we have put all of them. It looks like actually everything is in the front. So some of them will be in the front. So I need to make sure that some of the lines they go on top somewhere, because you need to make sure that it is more of three-dimensional, correct? So it's not everywhere just covering in the front. There, some in the back, some there. Not everywhere, so at least some places. If any of the cherries that if you wanted, you can actually come back. I think I will just stop here. I think yeah, I'll just stop here. Otherwise, I'll keep on working on this just forever. That's enough. That's good enough. So, if you have anyone whoever has tried it, so it should be good. That's a painting which is looking like. I'll bring it closer so you can actually see maybe with different, yes, that one. So you can actually see that that's what, like I said, I can even spend another 2 hours, make it even more detailed. But it just depends on individual thing that how detailed you wanted it. It's already it's almost 2 hours. It's not that if I just keep on going with this, then maybe some of them might get bored as well. But I still feel that I think it's done good enough. Not bad. Main thing is highlights, the fur on the bird, fir tree, cherries, some snow. Mainly the background. Main thing is play with the background because background has to be very light. There are 2-3 ways of actually doing the background, but I felt maybe depending on your color mixing, this should be the easy one. So I hope all of you liked it. I'll post the same photo just with this video. You can actually use this as reference and then paint along with that. So let me just change the camera, then I'll say bye to everyone. Just a minute, hang on a minute, because this is all set up. I'll just change that. Let's go bring that yours. Bring it. Looking from far. Why?
How does it look this way?
How does it look like?
Because I made a very big mistake.
You made a very big mistake.
Well, but scribbling.
Show me.
The scribbling and
Show me. Let me just see. Okay.
the beak.
Say this is my daughter. So she is the one. What she was doing is every time I paint, she just sits next to me. If I am painting in one medium and she paints in some other medium, this is what she has done until now, sitting next to me. This is the oil pastel, and this is just that's what she does. Most what she does, and whatever I have is this on the board. That's what I have. It's very bright, but that's what. So I hope all of you actually enjoyed whatever I did. I tried my best, although it is too long. If anyone who is watching after this, try to go through this. If you have any questions, then you can ask me, and then I get notified, so I'll be able to reply your comments, any of your doubts. So again, once again, I thank Larry for this opportunity. Anyone who has been this long with patience, already with patience. So I hope you all enjoyed. So I'll see you again. Thank you. Bye bye.